We'll start in China, and this week leaders of more than 20 countries met for a summit. The Chinese showed off their military might in an impressive parade, and the signature photo of the week was the Indian Prime Minister and the Russian President holding hands. I'm wondering, Sarah, are the Chinese trying to build a bloc in the East against the U.S.?
Well, I think so actually Trump is pushing the world, to a place where the United States is no longer sort of first among equals on the global stage. And, whatever people might think about the role that we have played, I think there's no doubt that it's helped us and it's helped our allies. And so I think this matters a great deal. I think this is something we should be concerned about. I think if it was happening under a Democratic president, Fox News would be losing their minds, and this would be on the cryons, and the Republicans would be saying this is the end of U.S. dominance on the world stage. I think the other sort of important point here too is that it's turning these countries more towards anti-American stances, which some of them were already on that train, but they can use this kind of the tariffs, et cetera, to put out anti-U.S. propaganda. The people themselves sometimes are more pro-American than their leaders. Iran might be an example where the country is very much our adversary, but the people have had sort of more warm feelings toward Americans. And I'm feeling like this is going to also reverse that, which is something that's hard to repair it's going to take a long time to do so.
Yeah, I agree with Sarah. This is something that China has wanted for a long time. What's so depressing is that the U.S. now is making it easier for them. We had tried to develop India as a counterbalance to, China and many of the forces of that part of the world. And because Trump is being, petty about wanting to take credit for the India-Pakistan reduction in tensions and then increasing the tariff because they bought some Russian oil, he's pushing them away from us and making it easier for China to develop this anti-U.S. coalition. And I think we're going to pay the price. This is, the isolationists in the United States must be very happy because that's what he's doing. He's pushing us into our own little world. And I think we're going to pay a price for that.
Anirban, I'm interested in your perspective on what's happening with India and China.
Yeah, so let me put this in a little bit of context, right? This is part of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization that was built way back, and it included Russia, some Central Asian countries, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, and so on. And later on included also Pakistan, India, Belarus later on joined. Last year, India didn't go, right? It sent its minister. It is a regular affair. It's about security and trade and understanding among these Central Asian nations. But this year, of course, because of this kind of attack against India's use of Russian oil, which India said that they were being asked to buy from Russia by America. And then they also pointed out Europe is buying oil, so why single them out? And India, for better or for worse, have kind of remained within the WTO framework so far, maintaining their most favored nation status kind of issues in terms of tariffs. And now they're seeing that all of a sudden there's this completely, about turn in American foreign policy. Here was Modi actually holding hands with Trump in the Howdy Modi rally. They made a huge, they thought them to be natural allies, both strongmen in their own areas. But now it seems that, India is hedging, seeing that, hey, look, if we need to remain fiercely independent in some way or the other, then I guess we should warm up to China. Again, this is also a problematic issue because there's border disputes in China. India doesn't want anybody talking anything about Kashmir and the occupation there. So even though there is internal dispute within this group, there is some show of unity, especially because of the alienation that they feel because of this kind of tariffs and kind of attack on Indian foreign policy and so on and so forth. So,
do you see India moving much closer to China?
Not really, but I might see there would be a significant détente in the relations, thawing of relations. India was in this kind of border dispute, right? There was this huge fighting that broke up between Indian and Chinese forces in the border. Interestingly, they are not allowed to have weapon by law. So they just fist fought at for a long time in extreme cold. So there are these skirmishes, but from what we are seeing that there might be some thawing of the relations overall. Again, which is spawned from this, idea of Trump attacking world leaders?
Let me ask Tara, our historian. She seemed to say that China was a big factor in World War II and the United States wasn't much. Is he trying to rewrite history?
Well, sort of. Okay, part of what he's focusing on is the fact that because of long historic issues with Japan, basically China and Japan had been fighting before World War II actually breaks out. And so when he makes that argument that that China had been fighting against basically this world domination, this world anti-fascist movement, he's correct in that. But officially, China doesn't actually join the effort to fight against the Axis powers until December 9, 1941. So he's sort of morphing two real occurrences in history and morphing them together for China's benefit. But what he's also doing is recognizing that as America is alienating people, countries that have long felt that since World War II, America has really almost been a bully in terms of ensuring that American interests were first around the world. He's recognizing, okay, if we can begin to change that narrative, countries that have felt that alienation for a long time, and certainly they're more alienated now, they might be more willing to support what China is trying to do. Now, the other thing about what China is doing, which I think is very smart, China is paying close attention to where America, as in part because of isolationism, in part because of this effort to underfund agencies or eliminate agencies, is also opening up areas where China can lead in areas of development. So, for example, Africa, in terms of areas dealing with energy, green industry, which we know we're defunding, green industry, technology, making digital access even better. And China sees that opening and is seizing it, and at least rhetorically, it sounds like China wants to share whatever it learns and develops with these other areas. Something America is saying we want to back off from because we don't want to pay for it.
Mm-hmm. Sarah, what does the U.S. need to do based on what happened there? Is this, how significant is this?
Vote Trump. I mean, make sure that Trump doesn't run for a third term. Make sure that we get someone in the White House who better understands the importance of global leadership and some of the things that Tara was saying about, these races for technology, for green technology, I think is a really good point, right? That is the future. And instead, we have a president who's like trying to go backwards. Meanwhile, the rest of the world, China's certainly taking advantage of this, right? And as well as AI, it is, we still lead the world in AI development, but China is coming up right behind us very close. And these kind of protectionism policies are just going to fuel, make that go, faster, essentially.